Competitive gravity of the Formula One Grand Prix is bigger than ever, and that's why this being bigger than ever phenomenon is the same for the accidents and crashes. Of course, a car crash is always a tragic accident, but also happening with a super fast car in a really competitive environment is even worse. But still, people might want to know, so we are here just for you to deliver the biggest ones of the year. So for this video, we will look at some of the biggest crashes that happened during the 2022 Grand Prix. As this video is made, the Grand Prix is still happening, so there might be some bigger crashes, but if you see bigger ones in the future, you can always talk about them in the comment section. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, ALKM, The World of Sports, for more videos like this. If you did, let's look at some of the biggest ones. The 2022 British crash. 2022 British Grand Prix highlights. The collision between two cars at the 2022 British Grand Prix was so horrific that one car immediately flipped outside the track and then flew over the barrier. The horrible crash at the British Grand Prix. An accident so horrific occurred at the 2022 British Grand Prix that you'll probably clench your fingers between your teeth after watching this video. Some people call this accident the biggest accident in the history of Formula One, so we want to tell you about the car that crashed during the race at the 2022 British Grand Prix. The car of Zhou Guanyu is rammed by another car, and the car of the Chinese driver goes out of control. The car rolls over, and when the top of the car touches the road, sparks fly out and catch fire. On the video, Zhou Guanyu's car can be seen sliding off the track and falling into the fence. This terrible accident happened already in the first lap. Just when Zhou Guanyu's car was about to reach a turning point, a car behind them went out of control and rammed the car from behind. The video of this incident is increasingly spreading on social media. People are surprised to see this accident. According to the FIA, the governing body of Formula One, both drivers were conscious after the accident and were medically examined. The accident at the 2022 British Grand Prix was caught on camera from many angles. Small clips from the video of the accident are going viral on social media. In another video, Zhou Guanyu's car can be seen moving towards the fence after the collision, which frightens the spectators sitting near the fence and makes them leave their seats and run. Zhou Guanyu's car was hit from behind and he could not do much. Fortunately, even after the terrible accident, the Chinese driver did not faint and could speak. After that, the injured driver was taken to the hospital. In the video, you can see how the Mercedes driver, Russell, hit the car of Guanyu from behind. This collision was so bad that the car overturned several times and then flew into the air and reached the fence. Still, it's good to know that Zhou is okay. We are more than halfway through the 2022 Formula One season, and there's been no shortage of action. Even if some of the races were a bit more boring than others, we are looking at you, Monaco. There was enough to whet our appetites. Speaking of Monaco, one of the big topics of conversation was Mick Schumacher's accident in the pool area. The Haas driver briefly lost control of his F1 car and spun out of the race. The impact was quite violent and tore the car in two. Fortunately for Schumacher, he escaped uninjured. Schumacher's accident is one of the few that have made headlines so far in 2022. But even before that, in Saudi Arabia, Schumacher crashed heavily in qualifying and was unable to start. After driving a recent race in Australia to finish 13th in an uncompetitive car, he spun out on the first lap of the race at Imola and finished 17th after a promising result of 10th in the sprint. Schumacher also finished 6th in Spain after an excellent first lap, before slipping to the back of the field and eventually finishing 12th as he went on a two-stop strategy and slacked off in the final stint. But his pace there was nothing special. It was a similar story in Monaco, before his big impact in Monaco separated the car from the transmission. But Schumacher's weakness, Ferrari's reliability problems, and occasional strategy errors slowed him down. The same is true of Magnussen's fighting spirit, even if his aggressiveness sometimes pays off, which means misjudgments like those in Spain and Canada are the price of that potential advantage. Haas has planned a major upgrade, his only one this season, for the Hungarian Grand Prix. considering that the Haas VF22 package has been a regular threat for points in most of the first 9 weekends. It's clear that it's a good base to build on. It's also a pretty well-rounded car in terms of its performance, with a healthy amount of downforce for a midfield machine. Assuming it works as hoped, and whether it'll be an informative test for the still relatively new Aero team under technical director Simone Resta remains to be seen. We all know Haas will have plenty more chances to score points at this big race. Of course, there is a Sebastian Vettel in Australia too. After missing the first 2 races of the season due to a COVID-19 illness, Sebastian Vettel returned to Formula One at the 3rd race of the season, the Australian Race Grand Prix. It wasn't an easy return for the 4-time champion as he struggled to find the pace in his Aston Martin. During the race, however, he suffered even more and struggled to control the car. Then, on the 24th lap, Vettel suddenly retired from the race when his car came to a halt on the side of the track. After the incident, the driver was quite dejected and told his team that the car needed an urgent upgrade. Since then, Vettel has returned to scoring points in the upcoming races. And Rome had Charles Leclerc. The 4th race of the season was the first to reveal the kink in Ferrari's armor. The Italian team had been nearly unstoppable in 2022, finishing on the podium in each of the previous 3 races. So, ahead of one of the 2 home races on this year's calendar, it was expected that the prancing horse would finally give the Tifosi something to cheer about. Only they didn't. Carlos Sainz Jr. tangled with McLaren's Daniel Ricciardo on the first lap and retired from the race, while race leader at the time, Charles Leclerc, got cocky on lap 53. Monegasque, who was in 3rd place, grabbed the lead from Sergio Perez in the Red Bull and was poised to take over 2nd place. But he got cocky and took too much curb in the Alta variant at turns 14 and 15. He crashed briefly, but recovered to finish 8th. It wasn't a particularly spectacular crash like Mick Schumacher's, but it made many hearts beat faster for a brief moment. Like Italy, the USA hosted 2 races in 2022, with Miami being the first. The 5th round of the World Championship wasn't exactly a bang for the buck, but it showed that bigger is always better in America. On lap 41 of the Miami Grand Prix race, McLaren driver Lando Norris engaged in a duel with Pierre Gasly on the AlphaTauri. The 2 drivers got a little too close and touched wheels. The contact caused Norris to spin. His rear right tire came off the rim and his car came to a halt on the track. The McLaren driver spun a few times but was uninjured. Norris is currently 7th in the 2022 F1 Championship and has overtaken teammate Daniel Ricciardo this year. And with that, we should give you the ones we thought were the biggest ones yet. Of course, we would love you just to tell us which crashes are the biggest down in the comments section. Also, if you like videos like this, you should definitely subscribe to our channel, ALKM, The World of Sports, down in the comments section. Until next video, goodbye, and have a nice day.